I've trained him in PowerPoint already. Ephesians chapter 3. Well, actually, that mistake up there is mine, but it's chapter 3, verse 20, not chapter 4. Ephesians 3 and 20. And I'm only going to talk a few minutes, try to get this in a few minutes, and then we're going to pray for everybody. We're going to have a prayer line, and we're going to go through and just anoint you with oil, and just going to pray that the Spirit of God be released in you in a powerful way. Amen. Grant you, according to the riches of his glory, to be strengthened with might through his Spirit in the inner man, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, that you, being rooted and grounded in love, may be able to comprehend with all the saints what is the width and length and depth and height, to know the love of Christ which passes knowledge, that you may be filled with all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do exceeding abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us. I want to talk about power today. Look at somebody and say, I want to talk about power today. And I want to talk about power shift. Power shift. Shift in power. When we think about the nature of power, I was studying the other day about the physics, and I won't go into that, but it's an interesting study to look at what the word power means in terms of physics and the scientific definition of power. But there are all kinds of power that we're familiar with. We're familiar with AC power, and all of our devices have a power rating on them as to how much power they will draw in order to make them work. Amen. There's a certain amount of power that's necessary to make some things work. If there's not enough power, it won't work. Amen. If there's just not enough power, amen, you just can't get it to work. There's electric power, and we were blessed in the time that we live to realize that for all the centuries of mankind, they didn't have until 100 years or so ago the ability to have lights on and electric power to power stuff. Oh man, I'm telling you, we are blessed to live in the time that we live. And then that electric power, sometimes, I work for the telephone company, so I always wanted to wish in some ways that I worked for the electric company, because I really wanted to get a clearer understanding of how the electrical system worked and supplied power to us. But we know that there are all kinds of ways that the electrical system is powered. There are nuclear power plants, and there's nuclear power. We know the power of the atom bomb and what it's able to do to a whole city and wipe out things. But we are aware of solar power. And down here, the first house I had a heated pool. And I like that because it had those solar things up on the panels up on the roof. And they pull down power right out of the sun. Amen. To make the pool water warm. And when solar power first started being talked about, I was so interested, and I said, man, I want to get loose from this gas and electric company so bad. I started investigating how I could get me some panels and put up there, amen, so I could get free from them. So there was a guy in Maryland that actually created a car that just ran on water. I mean, he did this like 20 years ago. Car, you just put water in it, and he said General Motors and them, and the oil companies bought that up and buried it. But they don't want you having no car that runs on water. But how many you know that what the water is H2O? Amen. That's the basis of the hydrogen bomb. So you know it's some power in there. Amen. And you try to go without drinking some for a while, and you find you don't have no power. There's wind power, and there's geothermal power, and hydro power, and optical power for the lenses and the telescopes. And in this season that we're in, we're aware of political power. Come on, praise the Lord. And in America, we call ourselves a superpower. People have purchasing power. And if you got a high power attorney, you got legal power. And if you're a part of the judiciary, you realize you got some power. Years ago, people went places on the backs of horses. But once they were able to come up with a locomotive and figure out a way to make a train and move down, they would begin to indicate how fast you were going. And when the car came along, they would indicate how fast it could go based on horsepower. Figure out how many horses it would take to get you moving at that rate of speed. You with me? And if you get strung out on drugs or you just drink too much alcohol, amen, they take you to a meeting and tell you might need to tap into your higher power. There's all kinds of power. And the thing is that sometimes when you realize that if you come into contact with high concentrations of power, it can be a life-altering experience. I didn't know before I moved down here that Florida was the lightning capital of the world. There's more lightning strikes that happen here in Florida than anywhere in the world. People be out golfing and all of a sudden, lightning, man. It's serious. You talking about some lightning shows down here, man. I tell you, it is something. You ain't never seen lightning like the lightning that goes on down here in Florida. But we realize the power that comes from the sky, none of us know how to control it. All you can do is look at it in awe and at the awesomeness of God. The power of a tornado that can just come down and touch down in a community and wipe out everything. Take the roof off of houses. I saw a tornado down here a few weeks ago. It didn't make a whole lot on the news, but it came through, picked up people's houses and moved them from one street over a couple streets down the street. Whole house was still intact, but it was moved to a different address. There's some power in the hurricanes. And a few years ago, none of us even have ever heard of a tsunami. Amen. But the water just came and wiped out everything. Hallelujah. Oh, there's some power out here. And then we look at human power. We think about our power. And you think about how strong you are. And sometimes, they have this Superman kind of competition. How much weight can you lift? And great big old guys, with arms this big, and they're standing there and throw it down. Amen. How much can you lift? And with your human power, how fast can you run? There's some limitations. They're just so fast, there's just so much weight you can lift. There's so much speed you can get up. Some of us live on our financial power. There's only so much money you got. And you can save all your life, amen, and then get it wiped out with one illness. And realize, man, that's as far as my money could go. Amen. We look at how much influence we have. What kind of power do I have to influence? And you ask yourself, if you were to get on the phone right now and somebody gave you Hillary Clinton's number, could you get through? Could you get through to Barack Obama? And if you try to call to reach the president, is he going to take your call? Some of you can't even get your friends to call you back.